So our announcements for, well, this is the May meeting of the Northeast Florida Sisters in Crime chapter. And I'm Lana McCara. I'm the president of the organization, and I'm really delighted to be here today. I'm excited for Vikki Downey's presentation. So next month in June, we will have Tanya Oxendine. She is with the Wounded Warriors Project, and she's going to talk about what it's like to be a soldier and to, be heard and what happens and all of that, and the families too, of the wounded warriors. So that's going to be very interesting. So come, for that. And just to remind you that paid members get a special newsletter with added information and the Zoom link. So if you're here and you're not a paid member, and you'd like to, that would be people in the room because everybody on Zoom's a paid member. You want to be able to stay home and watch. That would be one benefit. On May 21st at 7 p.m. coming up, I'm holding a free master class on Zoom about using your own raw life stories to create a blockbuster novel. And so we're going to put that in the chat. And if you're in the room here and you're interested, just let me know and I'll give you the link here. You get a private newsletter if you are in the paid membership, and you get those Zoom links. You also get speaking opportunities in that newsletter, and we have discounted courses now where you get a coupon for take the course for 30% less, and the chapter gets a donation. So everyone who takes the course is going to be actually helping support the chapter, which is really phenomenal. So, okay, I think that's all I've got. And so I'm delighted to welcome Vikki Downey to the meeting today. Vikki has written a police wife's survival guide, so needed. And why hasn't somebody done it before, right? Wives of law enforcement and first responders live in continual stress. Just ask Vikki Downey, who is our main speaker today. They must be supportive, understanding, stoic. They have to protect their children from the fears that they also have. And they have to navigate their place in the world and educate friends and family about safety matters. So we're going to learn 15 tips for navigating the thriving police and first responder marriage. So for 25 years, Vikki has navigated the challenging role of being a police wife. Despite having no law enforcement background in her family, her husband, John, started his journey as a police officer at the age of 29. So while John pursued his career, Vikki taught school while raising their children. She has dedicated her life to empowering fellow police spouses through support and helping them supplement their family income. With a deep passion for mentorship and education, Vikki is a committed advocate for positive change in the online business realm with fellow police wives. So let's hear her recommendations for survival.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Lana.
Okay, just give me one moment, Vikki. I've got a sound issue here. I'll let you know.
Well, thank you for having me, Lana. This is just a pleasure. I absolutely love Florida. I know people are zooming in from all over, but finding out you all are from Florida, my husband and I go there a lot. We live in California, and so similar climates, maybe a little less humidity out here. But sometimes I question that. We've had quite a bit, but I'm in Southern California. And what I don't think I had in my bio is that my husband is with the Los Angeles Police Department. And I know I'm talking to writers, and many of you really want to get it right. That's what Lana was telling me, that you want to really know behind the scenes of what a police wife goes through so that you could be more authentic when you're writing your crime novels, right? And so, yeah, I just thought I'd bring some true life testimonials to you from that. One thing I thought might be interesting to know, when you're writing about the Los Angeles Police Department, really they do not say LAPD. You know, the officers if you ever listen to a newscast, they say the Los Angeles Police Department. They say the whole long thing. So when you're writing about it, you might keep that in mind. Just some insider knowledge. I know when I type the words on Instagram or Facebook, hashtag LAPD, I kind of cringe because I know John doesn't, that they don't really say that. But most people know the Los Angeles Police Department is LAPD, just like NYPD and whatnot. So that's kind of a fun tip. But we're in a suburb of Los Angeles. And because that's something else a lot of other people don't realize, coming from smaller departments, many other small departments throughout the country, they live in the same city they work in. You think of some of the TV shows where the sheriff lives in the town and everybody knows where he lives. Well, when you're working in a high crime big city, you do not want anyone knowing where you live at all, ever, because you could be out to dinner, at the movies, and somebody that you're, speaking as the husband arrested, and they see you with their family, you can become a target for sure. And with all the hate that's going on lately, that's increased, there's always ebb and flow with that. But ever since 2020, there's been an influx of, or a rash of murders of police officers, just basically assassinated. So that's what it's got a lot of the police wives even more nervous about, for sure. So, but yeah, so that's just a fun fact. We're out here in Southern California. We don't usually say the city. It's kind of funny. And really, police wives are under a shield of secrecy, if you will. And so I didn't used to tell anybody where my husband worked. If I was at school with the kids, oh, what does your daddy do? Or they're asking me, what does, Misa's dad do? I'd say he works for the city. Kind of interesting. And I don't know, I can see you guys. Some of you guys know that we don't really tell anybody. Can you raise your hand? Some of you guys, yeah. So some of that is common knowledge, but a lot of my friends didn't know that. And I remember them saying to me, how come you don't say that, he works for Los Angeles Police Department? Why aren't you proud of that? I would be. It's not a pride thing. Of course I'm proud, but it's a safety issue. So, because you just don't know. It's really sad that you have to look at life that way, but you just don't know who's good and who's evil. So yeah, I do have a PowerPoint presentation. Before I get started with that, I did want to mention we do have 2 children. They've grown up with their dad being a police officer their whole life, and they don't know anything different. So when I told them I was writing this book, now they're in their 30s. But when I told them I was writing the book, it was kind of like shock and awe. Like, what would you want to write about? What's special about our life? They just didn't really understand until I kind of explained that a lot of people don't know what it's like behind the badge. So let me go ahead and share my screen really quick. And I've got like 3 little key points that I thought might be interesting for you all that are from the book this morning. So that's me, that's John. That's actually at the book launch, because it just launched March 8th. And it became a #1 bestseller. So he came and was super supportive. Pretty excited about that. And it also became an international bestseller. So this is just a little bit about me. I just spoke at an LAPD Wives Summit. I was very honored for that. There has not been a Wives Summit ever. So I think, really we wives are tired of being silent and wanting to stand up for our husbands and let the world know they're great human beings. Of course, there's some bad apples, but 99.999% are outstanding people. They got into law enforcement because it's a calling. That's something else that I brought up with a few people lately. They didn't understand that it's actually a calling. My husband felt called to serve others. So I recently spoke at a Rotary Club, so that's what that slide's all about. But here's John in his full glory there in the middle. And he's half Japanese, half Caucasian. I love pointing that out because people think that he could be Polynesian, Hawaiian, all kinds of things. We get Mexican. And he's just awesome. I just love him to pieces. So there he is when we first got married. Sad fact, the bottom left photo, I like to chat about this. He's in his uniform and I'm standing with him. That is about the only photo I have with him in uniform. So that's another interesting fact. They drive to work, never in uniform. They get dressed at the station because you don't ever want to have your car broken down or be somewhere and you're in uniform, right? Again, it's safety. It's smart not to do those things. Maybe smaller police departments do that, but he never does. So I don't have any photos with him in uniform. And I love how he looks in uniform. I swoon. And the sad thing is that photo was a funeral of another officer. So isn't that sad? The time I would love to be with him standing in uniform and we're saying goodbye to a fellow officer. Very, very sad. But we did have the opportunity to drive out to LA with our kids in the upper right. And that was when they were really little, and be in the police car and take a couple family photos. I wish we'd done more. And the bottom right is us all grown up, still having fun and showing that, police officers are human too. And really wanted to touch on this. I've gotten the question, why did you write the book? And I picked this photo, Hate Sucks. And really it was 2020 when the anti-police was in full bloom, the defund the police. I didn't even want to, put pictures of that up. I mean, that is just absolutely ridiculous. If you're anyone who knows a law enforcement family, that is never going to work. Having social workers do, I mean, it was preposterous, the ideas people were coming up with. Having social workers go in and do what police officers do. Holy cow, not trained, and they're dealing with criminals who don't care about anybody else's safety. There'd be mass, murders of these social workers. If I could just speak freely, it's ridiculous. So when the hate came out and things like this were happening, where police vehicles were burned, and I hate to, I'm not going to stick on the total negative side, but this is true life. This happened. You all saw it on the news. And what my husband, John, always says to me is that, Vic, what people don't even think about, if somebody is going to burn a police car, imagine, full on police car, or gun down a uniformed police officer. What do you think they could do to just regular folks? Right? Why are we protecting any of these people that would do such a thing? So this was just mind blowing to me that the media would even cover it. It's just insane. But also, there's so much more hate that people are teaching their children. And so this is what really got me and the hair on the back of my neck. And I said, John, we had a talk, and I'll explain what ACAB means in a second. But I said, finally, when I saw all the protests happening, the defund the police over and over again, more murders of police, and people on the streets teaching their children to chant ACAB, and I saw it in Temecula, which is a beautiful wine country part of Southern California. We were down there picking up our wine from our wine club, and we see people chanting with signs, and children are holding ACAB. Does anybody in the room know what ACAB means? I don't know if I can hear you if you guys yell it out or not, but raise your hand because I can see you if anybody knows what ACAB. Okay, nobody's raising their hand. And, excuse me for cussing, but ACAB means all cops are bastards. Crazy, right? Absolutely insane. It's, any normal person would know that's not true. But for you to teach your children this instead of teaching your children that cops are good. Police officers want to help you. If you're in need, call the police, right? It's just mind blowing. And when I saw that, I said to John, I've had it, and what can I do? Can I come out? And I was on Instagram and Facebook and noticing, especially on Instagram, millennial police wives, which I'm a Gen X, but millennials were um, coming out and saying, "This is enough. I, support my husband. This is ridiculous." And I had always been quiet because we were taught that. And I finally had a discussion with John and said, "Am I allowed to come out?" And he said, "Well, enough people know now. Plus, we retired him 9 years early, a year before 2020. We retired him early and after 25 years at the Los Angeles Police Department." But he finally said, "Well, enough people know now, Vic. I think go ahead." It wasn't that he didn't want me to get the word out, but it was for safety. So that's why I wrote the book. I'd had enough. And so really, part of me is on here trying to help people and educate them on what we should be teaching our children, right? And what we should be doing and standing up when we know it's right. Because this is just a funny slide to throw in that I smile because nobody knows what's going on behind the scenes. I do have an idea of what's going on. I know what's going on, but I have to just smile and take it. And I got to the point where I was tired of smiling and taking it. So the rest of me sharing today is some more about life behind the badge, some safety matters, and how you can help. So again, this is just showing the four of us, family of four. We're the four musketeers. I put that in the book too. We had our own business before John became a police officer. So we didn't know what we were getting into completely when our kids were 3 and 4 when he was hired on, but they've grown up with this, and we're real people. So we're going to talk quickly about the officer's mental health, the wife's mental health. Since so many people are talking about mental health these days, it's kind of refreshing that it's not so hidden. And what can you do? So truly, if you have any police officer friends, that's wonderful. And for the most part, a lot of police departments have at least the Los Angeles Police Department has a psychologist on payroll. Actually, at the LAPD Wives Retreat, we got to hear from him. And there are so much that they do for officers. After an officer involved shooting, they actually counsel them. They interview them, they counsel them. So much is done that the world doesn't know about to help their officers with their mental health. So, and this is just an example of that. The officers also have their buddies to go out with after work to kind of debrief. Like John would always stay late, not always, but a lot of times stay late, especially after a big incident happened, to kind of discuss things and talk about how, when the brass isn't around, talk about how they could do it better next time. So they've got each other, right? And they've got the police department's resources. But this is the wife at home, not knowing if I don't have this in slideshow. I'm so sorry. It's real. This whole time you're seeing kind of everything. So this is the wife, and we don't know about any resources. We are alone. We don't talk to each other. We don't live in the same communities. Like most of my husband's police wife friends all live on the other side of LA. We're on the east, let's see, east, southeast suburb. And most people are north of LA, the police wives. So this is our mental state. Oops. So honestly, what I would say you could do is if you know a police wife, just reach out, ask her to lunch, or ask how she's doing. You don't want to pry too much, but let her know that you care. You don't have to thank us or anybody. A lot of people say, I really want to thank you for you are a service as well, the police wife who kind of goes unnoticed. And I'd never really thought of it that way till I wrote the book. But I guess there is a little bit of truth to that. So, oh, do you want me to let Jolene in? Oh, okay, you did it. So, yeah, reach out, go to lunch if you happen to know the person well, or at least check in. That would be great. That goes so far. Now, let's talk about safety matters. I mean, I purposely picked this LAPD car that has all the bullet holes. I mean, it's a dangerous job, as we know. So let's talk about speaking with friends and family. We're going to talk about restaurants, what that has to do with safety and information. So this is just to remind me, that's my father who just recently passed away at 89, and my mother who's still with us. But he was so proud of his son-in-law, and he would want to tell everybody, including people on airplanes, including people in restaurants. This is an example of that. My son is with the Los Angeles Police Force, and we had to kind of gently but firmly say, "Dad, you can't tell the server that. You should not be announcing that." Why? He would say, because again, it's safety. You don't know who's in earshot of you in that restaurant. So it's really sad that it's come to that, but that's what it's come to these days, and it has been for a while. So and that's the same for all of you when you're out with your any law enforcement. Don't announce that, hey, thinking you're going to get better service or something. I've had friends do that. Yeah, he might just arrest, and jokingly, he might just arrest you if you don't give us good service. And John hates silly comments like that, because for one, that would never ever happen, right? And you don't want people afraid of the police. That's just reinforcing people being afraid of the police. You want people being able to come to the police for things. Also, if you go out to lunch or dinner with a police officer friend, you'll notice they never have their back to the restaurant. So this is an example of what a police officer would never do, right? And I know that's the case for a lot of men, especially in our world, is that they want to see, they don't want their back to the door, right? You want to see, but that's definitely with law enforcement. So if you're going out with somebody, it's funny because it's a constant struggle for us, because John has to see the door. For one, he's usually packing, because there are many reasons for that. That's a whole nother thing. But he has a weapon on him to protect all of us, right? And so if you're with a fellow police officer, you would want him to be able to see the entrances and exits and see all the things. So let him choose a seat first. It's funny because we'll do this dance, like everybody kind of goes and sits, and I'll have to say, because John doesn't want to say anything, I'll say, "Hey, would you mind, John he can't have his back to the door." Like, I have to explain it. So just, yeah, if you're out with friends, that's just something interesting to remember. And this is to just remind everybody also, when you see something on the news that is a video, most likely, right? They love to publish or post or show videos of a crime or an officer arresting somebody, you know, 3/4 of the way through the episode, right? The incident. Instead, right, you're not seeing what led up to all of this. And so this is just kind of an example of, people are always quick to judge. And I encourage you not to be quick to judge, and educate others not being quick to judge, because you don't know what transpired before. For example, the guy that might be on the ground, right? And they're going to put handcuffs on him and put him in the car, and you think he's being mistreated, but he just murdered somebody in a liquor store down the street. You don't know that, so don't stick your nose in, right? I'm probably preaching to the choir, but John gave me an example, because they are so well trained, of him in one of their training days, and they showed a small clip of an officer. Actually, no, it was a picture of an officer with his baton raised, and he's basically about to hit a suspect that's on the ground, right? And so they asked John, what do you think about this scenario? And I hope I'm paraphrasing it right, but all John said was, I don't have an opinion. I don't have enough information. right? But a lay person would think, oh my gosh, police brutality. How dare he? Look at that. The guy's on the ground. Why are you going to continue to hit him? No, you don't know that there is a dead woman and child in an alley right behind that guy just murdered, right? And he's not complying. So again, it's just, I know I'm really putting it out there for you guys, but I wish the world would all be not so quick to judge. And you can help us with that. You can help us educate people. What else can you do? Um, Oh, I guess I got ahead of myself. I kind of talked about all these things that, making a phone call to do lunch with, a fellow police wife or an officer for that matter. And safety matters. Don't be so quick to judge, and definitely be observant of your circumstances yourself, right? Don't be fiddling with your keys when you guys all know this, but it's amazing how many people are on their phones crossing the street, staring at their phones, right? And they could be hit by a car, or they could be robbed walking down the street because they're not paying attention to some homeless guy that has a knife, right? It's really important to make sure we continue to educate people. Um, this is just to show that another kind of interesting factoid, that the Los Angeles Police Department was the first to coin the phrase to protect and to serve. And having two in there is the key point: to protect and to serve. And I actually, shoot, I don't have my notes, but John had written out some notes for me, so I'll just go from memory, that most other police departments have kind of adopted this phrase as their motto. I know firefighters have something different. I think it's brave, something to do with brave, but the police are to protect and to serve. And there's some other interesting things that he's pretty proud about with the Los Angeles Police Department, like DARE. The DARE program came from LAPD, and SWAT definitely did. And actually, my husband's best friend is the son of the original sergeant of the original SWAT team, Al Preciado. So that's a pretty cool thing. Oh, there, there it is. And that's where, shoot, I had the definition, so I apologize. If somebody wants the true definition, I can give you to you guys later. And this is the thank you for your service reminder. You guys, I'm sure you guys do that. I talk to a lot of people that do thank officers, and John has always says, I don't need a thank you. I'm filled up enough, doing what I do. But he has come home and shared so many situations and instances where somebody has thanked him, and I can tell it's so heartfelt. Like the look on his face when he tells me that, a mother came over with her two children and thanked us for what we do. Kind of made my night. He's just kind of off the cuff, but I know how much it means to officers when you thank them for putting themselves in harm's way, basically. And then, sorry, I didn't know if I was supposed to do this. I can stop the share, but I was doing a shameless plug for my book. Am I supposed to do that, Lana? Tell me. Or not. um, but real
So
quick.
go right ahead.
Okay. Just kind of cool. I'm getting feedback and reviews from non-police wives. So these two ladies, left and right, are just read the book. They wanted to be supportive. They bought it. And they said, this isn't just for police wives, it's for all wives. So, because I have 15 tips in there for all parts of your marriage, from beginning to, I don't want to say end of the marriage because we're still married 35 years later, but all kinds of great, very concise tips. It's a tiny book. It's very small. I think only like 40 something pages. And it's made its way to India. That's what the bottom left photo is about. Bookstore owner in India. There's a lot of Indian police officers who actually follow me on Instagram, amazingly enough. So he's going to be carrying it in his store. So that was kind of fun. And I have another fun thing for you guys. If you want, I also made the audio version of it to listen beginning to end, it's only like 45 minutes, maybe an hour. No, I think it's closer to an hour. That's it, the whole book. So it is a quick read. I wrote it for that purpose. And I was giving you the sisters in crime and gentlemen in crime. I think I saw some gentlemen in crime there too. A discount code if you wanted to take part in that. And then, oh, I do have a free offer where I give a workbook. So if you know any police wives or law enforcement or military wives, definitely it can help them. It's kind of a vision statement worksheet and kind of dream building on creating the life that they want to live. And Mother's Day is coming up, so definitely the book makes a great gift. So thank you. And I don't know, do you open it up for questions too, or?
Anyone have questions?
So Vikki, what's the secret of keeping a marriage going for so many years?
Well, thank you for asking. Honestly, I've learned a lot, and I actually still have a marriage coach. I just started going to a marriage. I just wanted to fine tune my marriage even more, even after 35 years. So for one, it's willingness to learn, I think, and realize that things that we do and say in a marriage, but on both sides, we don't realize that we're being disrespectful to the other person. And that goes for women. I'm really speaking for women specifically, that things that we do, we don't even realize because our mothers did it and their grandmothers did it. And it's kind of passed on. And, an example is, early on in your marriage, you pack the car, and maybe you have kids at the time. So you're packing the car for all the things to go to the grandmother's house, right? And you need all these things. And you go inside and you come out and you see your husband repacking it, organizing it a little better. And then you get upset instead of just saying, "Thank you, honey." You say, "No, that's not how I wanted it. I need it here. I need it there." I learned, and I just learned that recently, that that's totally disrespectful to him. He was trying to help me, have things move more smoothly with the family. And I totally disregarded that by changing it all. So, and then therefore he never, had no desire to help me pack the car ever again. So I just learned that, ladies. So some of you that are, have been married a while, you might just be learning that too. But guess what? Our mothers did that. Our grandmothers did that. Help in the kitchen, same thing. My mom used to shoo everybody out. No, 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 I've got this. Did the meal, did the dishes. Instead, if the husband comes in, or anybody else for that matter, to help out, we should accept it. We shouldn't take it as a challenge to our womanhood. So, so I think working on myself has been number one, because then I see all our husbands want, and I know I'm talking to, what's your name? Sorry.
I'm Terry. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. All you want, if you're married, I'm assuming you're married, or maybe you've been married, but all you want is your wife to be happy, right? That's what I've found, that really you want to be happy, but you want your wife to be happy. And you don't want to make her happy. You want her to be happy in her own right, right? So also self-care. When I take care of myself, then I show up differently. And then John's happy. It really is true. A happy wife, happy life for the man. But if the woman is not willing to change, and I'm not trying to say that the men shouldn't be changing as well, definitely. But I feel like the catalyst can be us women. We do have a lot more power than we think we do. We think the man is supposed to make us happy, or I just wish he knew how much I do around the house, right? And we're bitter about it. But the more you could just be happy, he starts to offer to help more. And he wants to, and it becomes a collective, unified marriage. And then the intimacy comes back too. So sorry, I know that was probably a long answer, but yeah, I've learned a lot lately, a lot. So
I have a thought. It has to do with self-care, Vikki. And when I saw that you were going to be our speaker quite a while while ago, I thought, geez, how does she do that? This has to do with mental health. You talked a lot about safety in your whole presentation here. But when it comes to mental health, many years ago, when I was still in my dating life, I dated a cop once. And I didn't like that because every time there'd be a siren going by or something, I think, I wonder if that's him. I wonder where he's going, if he's going to get killed. It was always on my mind that something could happen to him. So you must have, over the years, learned some mental escape mechanisms, meditation or faith. Anyway, I'm asking you, have you handled that mental issue?
Yes, I got the chills. In fact, I still have them. They didn't go, they came and stayed. When you said hear the siren, believe me, yes, 100%, because especially the Los Angeles police are always on our news, no matter what suburb of LA you live in. And so other people had the luxury, their husbands were, Corona PD, West Covina PD, all these smaller PDs, they weren't on TV. So I just had, for one, I had to turn the TV off because I would drive myself crazy. Oh my gosh, is that John? Oh, I got to study exactly what you're saying. It's the absolute truth. And very quickly, he reassured me, Vic, we are so well trained. And he would give me facts. So it was nice. It was backed up by facts. He would tell me how they were trained. He would share that. He would come home. We were trained on this today. We were trained on that. And so I could rely on facts that they were well trained. But then I turned to my faith. I am a strong believer in God and Jesus. And so I gave him to God. I actually would just pray every day when he would go to work and just say, God, you've got him, please protect him, bring him home safely to me. And honestly, I let God and I let go. I love that terminology, let go and let God, actually. And it served me so well. There were a few instances where I was a little scared. There was some police officer that had a manifesto against his fellow LAPD officers. And that scared me a little, probably more than anything. And then honestly, the ambushing of police officers, even though it's happening now, like to a huge degree, but probably, I think it was in the 90s, he came home and told me another officer was sitting in his patrol car and was just shot dead. And he said, that's the wild hair, or the something you can't control, because he can control his tactics, right, and have the best tactics possible. And of course things can still happen, but you feel like, okay, you got the best control there, but you don't have any control over random acts of violence like that. So you got to give it to God. And if it's his time to go, it's his time to go. I kind of had to have that philosophy, which is horrible to think about, but it served me so well. So I hope that explains it.
Something.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm surprised I did well with that, because so many people have asked me that question. Yeah. I must have compartmentalized too. So.
Hi, Vicki. I was struck by the similarities that you experience in law enforcement and I experienced with my wife in 33 years at CIA. A few of the things that you mentioned just are very similar to us, such as the specific language that you use. We often complain that people mess up on calling us agents.
Right.
And people saying LAPD. If
Right.
you use those particular terms, you know that the writer doesn't know what they're talking about.
Exactly. Right.
And if you can go over a few more of those linguistic niceties, great. Another thing that we do, you had said, well, he works in the city. We say, I work in the government.
Yeah.
Rather than I work at CIA.
Yeah.
We view our work as a calling as well, and that's how we recruit people. We don't broadcast as well when we go into a restaurant, and we always have our backs to the wall as well.
Yeah.
But we are always looking for exit points
Yes.
in addition to who's coming in. So it was just neat to see that we've got kinship with you.
Yeah, I love that. I want to ask you, before you put the mic down, what if you don't call yourself agents, what What do you? That's so interesting. Call yours.
Intelligence officers.
Ooh.
And sometimes within that, it's specific to the job. You're an analyst, or you're an operations officer, or you're an accountant, or whatever it may be.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. Okay, shoot. I wish John was sitting right by my side, because he would have a bunch of linguistics things to share. And maybe if he comes up with, I can ask him and get it to Lana, because there's so many linguistic semantics, whatever you want to call it, right?
Okay, so here's one for you. When I was researching my first novel, Police Work,
Right.
I interviewed officers, and their language for, let's say, a murder or a missing person or whatever differs across departments. In the suburbs of Jacksonville, a station 7 is a murder, a station 8 is a kidnapping. Elsewhere, it might be a 1015. Elsewhere, it might be something else. So do you have any terms like that?
Yes, yes. So they don't use our LAPD does not use 10 codes. They speak in plain English. So that is something on the radio. You know, they are very concise with their wording, but it's in plain English. They do have numbers for things like he would come home and say, yeah, we had a 5150 on the train today, or what, you know, wherever. So 5150, I'm sure most of you know that's a crazy person. But yeah. So yes, so they use, I think, penal codes, it's called, but they don't use like the 10, like 10-4, good buddy. You know, they don't use any of that. Oh, a fact about California that maybe you guys know, if you're writing about something, anybody in California, we out here know when somebody is not from California, because they'll say, yeah, I'm going back to Cali, like the song. But they actually say, and I don't know if in Florida they say that, but yeah, I'm going to Cali this week. We're going to go to Disneyland or whatever. We know immediately that you are not from California. Nobody in California says Cali. So take that out of your vernacular. That's kind of fun. Nothing to do with law enforcement. But yeah, shoot, I wish I could think of some more things. But one thing I know he's super proud of with the dispatchers at the Los Angeles Police Department, they are so, again, well trained. Like, he's super proud of the Los Angeles Police Department in all areas being the best trained in the world, honestly. And he had me listen to a dispatcher just the other day. He said, listen to her, listen to how she's on point, hear how the caller is frantic and all over the place, and she stays on point, she's getting the facts. And he goes, hear that? And in the background, she was speaking to the officers. She was on the radio telling the officers to go to the location. And I couldn't discern it, you know, as a layperson. I'm like, wait, what? I had to really listen and had to replay it over and over again. But they multitask so well, the dispatchers. So that's kind of an interesting point too, that I think most people don't even think about. And he said that's why the officers are already on the way to her when the person's continuing to say, please send them, but they're already on their way. And you kind of see that in some movies sometimes too, but movies aren't usually correct. That's one thing we can't figure out. You know, we're out here in Los Angeles, the producers, directors, they should hire more educated officers that know this would never be done that way. That would never be done that way. And they continue to get it wrong all the time. It cracks all off. We can't watch any police shows on TV, without him picking apart everything. So we just don't watch. I can't sit there and watch it with him, because we would never do that. That's not how it would be. I'm sure it's the same with the CIA shows. And doctor shows for doctors. So
I wrote a book on how to evaluate spy movies.
Oh, funny. That's a fun topic. I love it.
I have a question. When you're socializing with other police families, do you socialize other police families? And also, do you go to each other's homes, or just meet somewhere, like a park? How does that work? for security purposes?
Oh yeah, that's a really good question. And sorry if there's a tiny bit of a delay. So if I'm taking a while to answer you, I apologize. Something, I don't know if it's my internet or what, but yes. So typically there'll be Christmas parties, but it depends on if the officers likes the command staff, like if they like their sergeant and if they find out the lieutenant's gonna be there. I mean, to just speak honestly, if the guy's kind of a dweeb or a jerk, none of the officers really want to go to the kind of corporate, if you will, division parties, Christmas parties. So it just depends. And so we get together with the partners and their spouses. I know John has a group that he's basically, when they came out of the academy, they were all together. And it's a group of probably 7 to 10 officers. And we all these years have stayed connected, even though everybody's gone to different divisions. And we'll get together for dinners. Yes. And it could be at somebody's house or a restaurant, but typically those kind of things, it's at people's houses. And I never asked why, but now that we're talking about it, I bet you it's they feel more safe together in a home than they are out in public. Not that they won't go out in public. And sometimes we've gone with other police husbands and wives to concerts, things like that. We went up to San Francisco with a big group of us and tailgated. So we do try to keep a normal life, but that is an interesting topic. But we don't do enough together, to be honest with you. For me, from the police wife standpoint, I would have liked to do more, but we just didn't live geographically close. And with the traffic in the LA area, a lot of times we want to go, but it might be a 45 miles drive, which is no big deal, but it might take us 3 hours to get there. So we just don't go, which is a shame, but that's traffic related.
Anyone else? Questions? Anyone else? There's some in the chat. Go ahead, Shelley. Oh, it's your question?
About the mental health. I'm reading that now. Did you want me to address that?
Yes, please do.
Yeah. So do you feel that the department is offering better mental health support to their officers these days to deal with all the pressures involved in their jobs? And is it becoming more normalized to accept mental health support? That's a loaded question on the second part. So it was funny at the LAPD wives retreat, and we heard from the chief psychologist. He said that and none of us knew this because the officers know, but they don't always tell the wives that they're one of the few departments that has had a chief psychologist officer available to the police officers since I want to say it was like 59. I can look that up too, but 59, 60s. Isn't that amazing? I don't think most people know that. And he has a staff of other workers, right, with him, and they go to roll calls at the different divisions, because then we don't have precincts, we have divisions in Los Angeles. So they go to the different divisions and speak often at the roll call meetings, which is the meeting before they go out before their watch. And most of you probably know this, but so who knew? I mean, he told us all that. And then he took a poll. He said, okay, wives, how many of you knew that was available, that they could come to us at any point, that it's an open door policy, that they could come to us if they have a concern about their mental health? How many of you guys knew that? And we all said no. I think it was resounding, none of us knew. And then he actually asked the loaded question, and is it becoming more normalized to accept mental health? I gotta say no. It's really not yet, because we all said, because we all know our husbands, he said, how many of you think, what percentage of officers do you think have come to us for mental health issues? And we all said 0%. We all did, like everybody, we all looked around and went like 0. And shockingly, it was like 40% do. Isn't that great? So maybe they just don't tell the wives. Maybe they're starting to go ask for help or maybe they won't want to use those words. I need to ask for help. Definitely my husband would never say those words, but maybe it's nice that it is becoming more normal to, hey, well, let me just check out what they have to offer, right? That could help me get through some PTSD, because a lot of officers are ex-military, so they have a lot of PTSD issues. So yeah, it's amazing that way. So again, the other question also, I'm curious about the which restaurant you were at in the photo with your parents. It looks like it might be, it is shoot, it's, I thought it started with an M, but it's oh yeah, it is no, not McCormick and Schmick's. I'll have to get back to you. It's my dad, as he was getting into his late 80s. He goes, we live near LA. Why are we not going to all these cool, restaurants? So my dad invited the two of us out. And we even went to some of the other ones. There's another one that starts with Spago's. We went to Spago's. And they're very pricey restaurants, and my parents paid, which was so nice. But shoot, I'll have to get back to you. I just came across that photo too, where they're standing in front of the billboard that says the name, but it is very famous. Yes. So that's pretty cool. And yeah, and another fun fact, and then I'm sure you guys want to go, but people worship celebrities or idolize, or worship and idolize might not be the right word, but people, for whatever reason, look up to celebrities or like celebrities or what have you. Well, police officers do not. And the stories I could tell you, because he's like, they're just regular people just like us. The stories I could tell you of the name dropping that some of these celebrities do. It's like John is had to do noise complaints to so many people up in the Hollywood Hills. He was Hollywood Division for years. And one of them, and I won't say the name because I guess he turned out to be a somewhat decent guy. I know
Everybody wants to know.
it's being recorded, so I don't want to say the name, but he turned out to be somewhat of a decent guy, because I was saying the name and John's all, you really should stop saying the name, because he turned out to be a pretty good guy. Anyway, he came out and it was a noise complaint. It was the second time that the neighbors had called, and and believe me, police officers are good guys. Like John was just like, look, we're getting some complaints from your neighbors. Can you just turn it down? We won't keep coming out. If you just turn it down, they'll stop calling. Everybody just wants to get along. They talk like really normal people to them. But he came out to because I guess somebody told him, oh, the cops are back, so he comes walking out the door, and he walks up to John and he goes, do you know who I am? And right. So they get that a lot, which is a bunch of BS, right? But do you know who I am? And of course, John knew who he was. He's in tons of movies, kind of a younger guy. And John goes, no, but do you know who I am? Downey, Officer Downey. I was like, oh my God. I mean, there's story after story. So it's funny that we bring up, things that are famous places to go. And it is cool, but we probably should go to more of those fun, cool places. But I guess we don't think of it that way because we're just real normal people, and we don't think all these celebrities should be making the money that they're making. They're not helping people. Sorry. I mean, some of them do have some good causes, like Gary Sinise. But yeah, anyway, that's a whole nother conversation.
This has been awesome. Do you have something else, Elaine?
Just a couple. We appreciate your time. Come and talk with us. So we're going to be sending you a gift card, a little speaker gift card, just a token. So look for Amazon. It'll be coming through on Amazon.
You don't have to.
And my other question. No, that's all right. We do. Yes, we do. Itty bitty. What does that mean? Itty bitty.
Yes. So it's a publishing company, Itty Bitty Publishing. Susie Pruden, it's her company. And she's actually she's 8, she just turned 80. And I chose to go with her as the publisher. For one, it's a small book. And I know you're all writers, and you write probably pretty good sized novels, and that's great. But I just know police wives are busy women, and we don't have a lot of time. As much as we would like to read a big, thick book, we don't have a lot of time. So I knew that it's something I would read, in between the busyness of our lives. I could read a chapter here. Each chapter is only 2 pages. So it's literally 15 chapters, 2 pages each. And I did that on purpose. And so she has like 75 to 100 of these, and people are writing more, and they're all just on different topics. And I just thought, since it was my first book, I thought it was a great way to go. She's a wealth. Susie, the publisher, is a wealth of knowledge. She was on the Oprah show. She actually had her own segment on the Channel 4 news back in the 70s and 80s on fitness. So I know the value of people's life experience, right? Just like you guys having us come on and speak, we have the real life experience that we can share. And I knew I wanted to go with a publisher that was well connected, that knew people, that had so much knowledge in the industry and book writing, and she would guide me in the best possible way. So that's who Susie's all about. Yeah. Or who's
Wow, that is amazing. I know Susie. I met her at CEO Space in Las Vegas about 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And we worked together for a short time, and I can't believe she's still going. 10
She's a
years ago, I thought, wow, she's still going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you don't have to do I just found this out. You don't have to do an itty bitty book. She does full size books as well. I think she calls it Liberty Press. But anyway, she has another, underneath the itty bitty, I think, productions, corporate umbrella. She also has a regular book writing. And that might be my next thing. I might go into, take one of maybe the, my key points and write all about that in my next book. I'm kind of toying with the idea. Jealousy, I get questions on jealousy. We didn't even touch that, but a lot for the police wives and how do they handle that. So anyway, but yeah, that's what itty bitty's all about.
Okay.
Thank you.
Did you have anything else?
No.
No? Anyone else? This has been amazing, Vikki.
Yay.
Thank you so much for everything today. This has been great. All the
Thank
best
you.
success in your book, and please stay in touch. Yeah.
Thank you.
I will send you
Thank
the recording of this as well. So.
Great. Thank you so much. Awesome.
Okay.
All right.
Thank
Have a
you.
blessed Saturday.
Bye. Thank
Stay
you,
safe.
everyone. Thank you.
Stay
Bye.
safe.
Yeah, stay safe.